Good morning, everyone. It's Mohsin. Because these are separate videos, so I got to make sure that I declare that these are my personal views. And today I'll be discussing cybercrime in the dark net. I was asked to talk about cybersecurity, and one of the areas, although I call it no one is safe, some may say no one is secure. Clearly, I use the word safe rather than secure because of the impact, because of the effect it can have on us. And if we're walking down the street, a crime happens, we tend to say we're not safe from that crime. Similarly, if it's a cyber crime, are we really safe from it? And that's why I say no one is safe. Bit about my history. So I'm Mohsin. I've been working in cybersecurity for about 20 odd years. I've worked in defense and national security, central government, investment banking, Big Four. I've loaded encryption keys on satellites which are orbiting the geostationary orbit. So over those last 20 years, I've got some insights that I think may be valuable to understand. So from the types of threat actors, to what they really want and what motivates them. So before I start, what I want to focus on is what do criminals want? Rather than starting with the criminal mindset itself, I've started with what do they want? Because each of us comes from different organizations, different companies. Some of us may come from banks, others from legal firms, others may be just using our personal home computers for our personal use. So each of us have a different need or a different use of our computers or our devices, and therefore the types of threat actors that we attract will be different. However, what I wanted to focus on today is what do they actually want? What do we have that they want? So it could be, if you're a bank, it could be that the personal information of the customers. If you're a defense organization, it could be the state secrets, the new capability that you're developing. If it's a pharmaceutical company, the intellectual property, the research that you've been carrying out. I'm not sure what else I put there. If you're a government, it could be another government looking to see what you're planning. And if you're a university, it could be just personal information, student information that are released into the public domain. So depending on the type of organization, you will have different needs and you will have different sets of data. But it could well be. Now, we often find that every type of risk assessment always has personal data, sensitive data, intellectual property that they want to protect. What we sometimes forget is the criminal mindset may be just interested in your actual infrastructure. They may be wanting to take over your web server, your email server, so that they could use it to spread spam, distribute spam. It could be that if you're like the BBC website, it could be that they infect you so that whoever views your website, they are infected. So it's not just personal data or the data we have or our business capabilities. It could be that they just target our infrastructure, that we have huge computer resources that they target. And they may be targeting that for cryptojacking, i.e. mining of cryptocurrencies. So they could be using our valuable computer resources, bandwidth resources, for their own needs. So it may not be just our personal data or the data of our business that they're after. It may well be that the infrastructure that we use that they target. The next part is what type of, what motivates? Who are they and what motivates them? So you've got your script kiddies, and I often call them as your joyriders. And the reason I say the joyriders is sometimes the joyriders, they will steal your car for the fun of it. They may not be interested in the car itself, rather any car will do, and they will attack it for the fun of it. So here, we may not be the target, a specific target for the script kiddie. Is if they can attack us and they can have a bit of fun, they will do it. So we need to protect ourselves from that. Then you got your hacktivists, the ones that want to make political statements. So if you represent a government or you represent a country and they feel that you have values or attacking them, they may want to make a political statement by defacing your website. It may be that they're disagreeing with your policies. It may be they're anti-globalization. Therefore, they could deface your website, do a distributed denial of service, so you go down. So it is, they are more of the political type. Then you got your organized criminals. And they are the ones who are a bit more sophisticated, they are targeted, they want to make a financial gain. So here they will be after personal data to commit identity theft, they will be after committing financial fraud, and one of the new tactics they are using is they will target specific companies, they will find out who the key procurement are, then they will send fake invoices to say we're a supplier, we've changed our bank details, please provide the funds to the new account, and therefore you're thinking that you're paying your regular supplier and it goes to a fraudster. And obviously you've got your state actors, depending on the type of organization. Like I said, if you're a defense or industrial control systems, they are going to be trying to gain intelligence to commit espionage, or as in some state actors may even do it for financial gain. And finally, we have, sometimes we forget, our insiders. Now, insiders aren't normally malicious. Rather, what happens is they become disgruntled over time. And it may be over something like a bonus that they should have got that they didn't get, or it could be that their employer or their manager was a bit harsh on them, and as a result, they may send an email which contains a lot of customer records just as a disgruntled employee. It could be on their last day. It could even be after they've left, they've triggered that email off to go off after that they left. And they could turn around and say, well, I've left, my account should have been disabled, you didn't do it, so the responsibility lies with the company. The means. So we've covered what do we have, we've covered the types of actors. The means are becoming more and more sophisticated over time. So a lot of breaches happen as a result of phishing and spear phishing, where they send you an email, and a lot of the times now it's becoming targeted. So historically, it was just spam everyone and hope that some people will click, and as a result of that, you may gain something, a breach from it. However, when it becomes targeted, they will target specific individuals, specific companies looking to deploy malware. It could be ransomware, and if they cause that damage, then they could ask for to be paid to remove their ransomware, or it could be the disruption that they cause, or the embarrassment by defacement. So the means, it could be by phishing, it could be by USB sticks, or it could be just purely that our own employees visit a website and download malware, and as a result of that, we are affected. Part of it is the barrier. Historically, you needed expertise to be hacking. You needed to know about computer science. You needed to know about computers. You needed to know about vulnerabilities. I mentioned the dark net or the dark web here. So a lot of times what we see now is that the entry level to entering or becoming a threat actor has become lowered. So now you can easily search for tools. And these tools will automate and discover vulnerable systems, and then they will attack those systems. And you could search for these and download these, and then if you want to go further, you can then buy off the shelf, where they customize it for you for a specific type of need. So nowadays, you're not writing the actual malware to deploy, rather they are available. They've been released out there, and some of them were state-sponsored. So historically, they needed to be developed by specialists or script kiddies. Now you've even got state-sponsored, state-developed tools which have been released. They may be a couple of years old, but still we need to protect ourselves from these, and they are easily available to be used, and they can be downloadable. Opportunity is the area that businesses should be concerned about. The means and the motivation we have very little effect on. The motivation, you can't demotivate someone. Only nations with penalties, whether it be prison, whether it be fines, whether those kind of areas. And the means, well, I've already covered them, that they are deployable. They could be sending out phishing. The opportunity is where, as businesses, as people, we can affect. Because it is the opportunities, if we're using old operating systems, if we're using out-of-date software, then we are giving the opportunity for attackers to attack us. This is the only domain that we can really affect our organization. We can't really reduce the number of attackers. We can't really reduce the means by which they do it. What we can do is reduce the opportunities we give them. It is a bit like, either I leave my wallet on the chair and I know someone eventually will take it, or I protect my wallet. Similarly, if I'm not looking after, if I'm not securing our environment, then we are giving the opportunity to attackers to deploy automated attacks. We are giving them the opportunity to download and then attack us using those tools. So this is the area that we really must focus on. The breaches, I won't go through each of these breaches. Obviously, we can check every single month, every single week, there is a breach. And organizations are being fined, their reputation is being damaged, they are making financial losses, and we are affected in different ways. As an organization, it could be reputational damage or financial loss. As individuals, I had a friend who contacted me. He said he received an email and they said, we've got your emails and passwords and we've been recording what you've been doing. And he said to me, Mohsin, I wasn't doing anything, so I don't know how they got my details in my email. And then the issue came up. He said, it could have been my child who went to a website and looked at something. So as a family, he was worried about his family. So it is not merely companies making financial losses. It could be us at a personal level and our families affected. We've seen criminals attacking home computers, recording, and then threatening to release videos or unless you pay them. So it could be at a family level, at a personal level, at an organizational level, or at a state level. So different breaches are happening on a continuous basis, and depending on our situation, we need to protect ourselves in each of these areas. And finally, the recommendations. I wanted to keep it really short, the recommendations. I don't want a long list. My first recommendation is something I haven't written on there, is if you make security too difficult, then people will always find ways to bypass controls. So, like I said in the past, if you make security too onerous, too difficult, and people can't use it for their business need, they will find ways to bypass that, and that will result in either a breach or a policy violation. So my first real recommendation is implement the basic controls. It is the basics that we often miss. So we are using out-of-date software, so we need to be patching, we need to have data loss prevention. I have seen so many organizations, I used to be an auditor, I've seen so many organizations where people unintentionally email the wrong person. Now, if it's the wrong person internally inside the company, that has limited effect. But more often than not, it goes outside of the company. And there's a lot of the times it's too late. You may have got an alert, but it's too late. It's gone outside, and we need to be looking at data loss prevention. We need to have malware defenses. We need to have network security. We need to be monitoring. So my first main recommendation is have technical security, have good technical security, the basics, have that firmly established. Secondly is have reports going up to the board. It is only via reporting you can be challenged. If your reports are always saying the same thing, we're fine, it either means we're not capturing our breaches, we're not capturing what's happened, or everything's fine. And more likely than not, we're not capturing the right incidents. More often than not, what usually happens is either people get too many incidents and they're capturing everything and they don't know how to crunch it, or they've lowered the barrier so much they're not capturing anything. What you really need to do is understand your needs, understand where breaches can really happen, and target those so that you can detect the right things and that you're reporting the right things. So are you patching? How out of date is your infrastructure? And then make people accountable for that, so that it is only via reporting you can get people accountable to do the job. And finally, improve culture. It is only by improving our people culture that we can improve our security. So if you look at the previous threats where they're getting spear phishing or phishing, if an employee clicks on that link, then they've could have downloaded malware, and as a result of that, we could have had a breach, we could have had ransomware, we could have had different attacks. So we need to really up the game, improve that culture. And I think it is improving, but we need to continuously remind our staff, our people, and our homes that I know it is not just the employee side. We often look at the businesses, but on a personal level, it could be the tax. So I know a lot of the times now we're getting on our personal emails or a phone call to say, with a message saying it's from the HMRC, we're going to give you money back, or you owe us money, call us on this number or click this link. And as a result of that, a lot of fraud happens. So we need to not only think about security out in the workplace, we need to think about security in our homes and our personal lives, because it affects in every aspect of our lives. I'm not sure if I covered anything else, and that's it. Thank you very much for listening to me. Thanks a lot.